pretty much completed the building portion of this. All right, so back working on the Sherman, and got some of these accessories built out now. So, you know, I've got all this stuff and this. And I know I said in the first video I wasn't going to do any scratch building, but having gone out and looked at references, you'll see that there's on many of them this shelf in the front. So I think I'm going to build that out of the sheet styrene and put that across the front so that I can put some of these accessories on there, as well as stack them in the back. And then I'm looking through my string and stuff to see if I can simulate some rope holding those things down. And then the other thing is a tow cable, and I think you can see it there, and in a few of these other, yeah, there it is there. So maybe making a tow cable, because I saw them on almost all of the references I came across. So maybe I'll twist some wire or something to try to make one of those. So I am going to do a little bit of scratch build. So I watched a few videos on this, and basically I just took some wire and put it between my vise and my drill and just twisted it together. And then to make the end connecting points, again, I used my Dremel and some files and sandpaper, and filed those down, test fit it to make sure it would fit through there. And then filed that down and flattened it, and then used my pin vise drill to drill that out, and then opened it up, and then made another one, and then cut them off and opened up the ends. There we go. So as per my references, I've got it kind of pushed up underneath that barrel holder, I think it is, then going up through there to tie it off to that light guard, I guess that is. Then, as I said, I made this shelf and the supports and glued those on there. I have this stuff just dry fit mocked up here. So that's the shelf that I built, and again, the shelf is just sitting on there. The supports on each side are glued in, but I'm going to want to do that shelf in like a wood grain, so I left that off. And then in the back here, these two were actually one piece, and I cut them apart so that I could stack them, because that fit in there really nicely. And then up front here, again, that cable is going to go on there. And then what I want to do is put these tracks, you know, kind of put them on each side here, but that would be too big. So what I did is cut this section out of this one, and then that should fit right below there. So that should do it for all the stowage. Here's my full test fit, and I may look for something smaller. You know, that string might be a little too big to scale. You can see the tow cable there, and then up front here, the spare tracks and the stuff I have up there. Yeah, I think this is how I'm going to lay all this out. But now I think I am ready for paint. And use my favorite, the Mr. Surfacer 1500 Black. So there's the body, and the rest of the parts here, the turret, and all of those parts. Okay, and here's the first base color. I went with the Model Master Enamel olive drab, because I'm going to try the hairspray chipping technique. So I'm going with you know, the darkest color underneath, and I'm going to give that a try. Watched a few videos on it, and basically it's not so much chipping as it is, you know, kind of streaking and things of that nature, because my understanding is, you know, they took pretty good care of these, and they didn't rust very much, but they did get pretty dirty. So I'm going to try that technique to more or less, you know, dirty it up, so to speak. And then here's the rest of the olive drab stuff. And then I still have to do these tracks, probably shoot those with a rubber color first. Okay, as I said, I was going to try the hairspray technique. So I hit the turret and basically the sides, the front, and a little bit back here on the tank itself. And then just the part here, not the barrel on this part here, with the hairspray. It's the only one my wife had, so it's the only one I could use. And then went back and oversprayed that with the U.S. Forest Green with just a couple of drops of white in it to make it a little lighter. And I just did that, so I'm going to let that dry and then come back and, brush it down to try to, hopefully the darker olive drab will show through. And again, it's not so much chipping that I want to do as some variation of color and to make it look a little more worn. Then after this, I'll go around and do the pin wash. Okay, here's the results. So I used a variety of brushes, some stiffer ones, and then some looser ones. And yeah, I'm pretty happy. I basically went up and down, and then on the sides, kind of back and forth. And that's all I really wanted, was just some very subtle, weathering, so to speak. Did a little bit on the barrel shroud, I guess that's called. And then up on the sides, yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with that. So next, I'll let this fully dry and then clear coat it, and then decals, and then pin wash. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And then some detail painting, like gunmetal on the gun here. But yeah, I'm real happy with that. That's kind of what I was hoping for. And then here's my attempt at wood for that shelf, and then started on the decals. Yeah, I thought that string was just too thick, so went through the sewing basket and found this thread, which is gold, but it looks a lot more like rope, so threaded that through there and used that. All right, so almost done here. The last thing I'm doing is using this wash and these pigments. This is Urban Industry Dirt, and just basically muddying up the tracks here, and then flicking some all around to get it dusty, and and then went back and cleaned off the wheels, because from the friction those shouldn't have too much gunk on the actual surface, and then just dirtied it up all around, and then kind of took some and just flicked it on here and there to give it some dust. So I think that pretty much does it. So you'll note I only went with one extra track section on the front there, and I made the top and bottom brackets for that, as crews would constantly make add-ons and customizations in the field. Researching this build, I came across this site, the Sherman Tank site, and as it says here, the place for all things Sherman Tank, and it's incredible. Anything you could possibly want to know about the Sherman Tank is on this site. And you'll see here that they talk about the Jumbo, and they say here that the Jumbo was a rare but very popular version. And so I tried to model mine more or less on this one here, kind of use this as my reference. And they talk about it in this site here, so I'll read this as mine goes around on the turntable. The Fisher Tank Arsenal was a division of General Motors, i.e. Fisher Body, just outside Flint, Michigan, and was the sole producer of one very special variant of the Sherman, the M4A3E2 Jumbo. This version was the assault version, though not expressly designed for that purpose. It was manufactured to be able to lead a column up a road and take a few hits from German AT guns or tanks, so that the crew could spot these guns without having to sacrifice the tank. This was because it had a lot of extra armor and could take a lot of hits before being knocked out, but it was still not totally impervious to German AT gunfire. Only 254 of these tanks were produced, and all but 4 were shipped to Europe for use by the U.S. Army. They were all armed with M3 75mm guns, but with a surplus of M1A1 76mm guns in Europe due to a previously aborted program to rearm 75mm Sherman tanks with these guns. Many of the Jumbos ended up with 76mm guns, but none were ever factory installed. The tank was no different in automotive components from other M4A3 tanks, using the Ford GAA V8 engine, with the sole difference being the slightly lower drive gear ratio. While this reduced the top speed slightly, it helped the tank get all that extra armor moving. The Jumbos were well liked by their crews and in great demand, but no more were built, the only batch being produced from May to July of 1944. Had the invasion of Japan been needed, a special Jumbo with a larger turret that included a flamethrower was considered, but the A-bomb obviously changed those plans. Alright, here's my armor section, I guess I'm calling it now, and so yeah, that was a fun little build. Again, Tamiya kits are awesome, and you know, here it is with two other Tamiya kits, and I guess those two are period correct together. So yeah, I have a few more in the stash, and I'll probably be getting to those sooner or later, but that was a lot of fun. So once again, hope you found that interesting, and as always, thanks for watching and happy modeling.